Hey everybody, Master Mom Amanda Olson here, and we're just getting set up. Have not done this very often, so if anybody could let me know that you can hear me and see me okay, I would really appreciate that. So I'd hate to be sitting here running my mouth and nobody can hear me, or maybe that would be a better thing, I don't know. But as we're having people log on, just a little background, Amanda Olson, known here in my local community in East Tennessee as Master Mom. I have a program called Ask Master Mom, and that's where parents can ask questions about any behavioral issues or all kinds of things that might be going on with the family, how to help motivate their child, how to help their child with building more confidence, how to help their child have maybe a little less confidence, just some self-control. Issues such as bullying, whether your child is the bully or is being bullied, all sorts of things that families and kids go through as they go from the toddlers to the elementary age to middle school to high school and even beyond. My children are in their late 20s, early 30s, and it's not that I'm not parenting them anymore. They certainly are adults living their lives. But as somebody that has experience, often we'll have discussions about things that are going on. And sometimes they still ask for my advice. What should I do? And I try to be thoughtful, just as I was when they were kids, about, giving them choices and options and things as they look at the challenges in their lives. So as parents, it's something that if you're a new parent, it changes, but it doesn't ever stop, and that's sort of the thing about parenting is once you become a parent, you are always a parent. And so there's so many issues and life situations that happen to all of us as we go through this journey of living our lives, but also living our lives as a parent and helping our children through those situations too. And that's really what Ask Master Mom is for, and who it's for. So you may not be having a question right now. Everything might be going great, but something I cover, as you're listening, when it does come up or something similar comes up, my hope is that you'll have a resource to go back and check on, or I remember, that was discussed and that was a really good idea, so here's how I should handle the situation. Now, I also have a program for kids. Kids Ask Master Mom, and they can ask questions. And it's really interesting how thoughtful and deep their questions are. It's different, but sometimes it's about how to get along better with their parents or a sibling, how to, navigate that relationship. Sometimes it's just life question, and doesn't have necessarily anything to do with parents or siblings, just for themselves. I want to be able to do this, or I want to have more confidence, or this person's picking on me, and those are some things that I can help with and help the children with, obviously with their parents' support and knowledge in that. So that's a little background about what Ask Master Mom is all about, and what I hope to provide to the people that I come in contact with. Just some life experience as a mom, now a grandma, and also as a martial arts instructor. I have been teaching for, I've been doing martial arts for 43 years, and I've been teaching for 35 plus years. So a couple of decades under the belt, and there's a lot that I've seen, a lot of things that I've seen with children and families that I've been able to learn from myself as a young parent, and then also help parents navigate through. So that's kind of where Master Mom is coming from. Life experiences, working with thousands and thousands of people over the years, with their children, with their families, kids with their parents, helping us all kind of figure out how to get through life with a happy and harmonious home. That is what my hope is, to help you create. It doesn't have to always be crazy. It doesn't have to always be stressful. It can be happy. It can be harmonious at home with some simple tips most of the time. So today's topic is we are talking about coaching your kids. So as a coach, we're called instructors at the academy, but basically, we are coaches. We're coaching the children in their martial arts practice and helping them get from one level to the next. So just like a coach does with a team, we just do it a little bit more on an individual basis, and then as kids get older, they can have a coach they can have a running coach, even though that might be individual. Their coach is the person who helps them overcome, teaches them how to do better in their athletic endeavors. And as they get older, sometimes they even have a psychological coach, somebody who helps them get over those mental hurdles of maybe fear of competition, or, I'm stuck. I don't know how to get I know my body can do this, but my mind is holding me back, whether it's jumping over a literal hurdle or some sort of emotional or mental confidence hurdle that they need to get over. So all different types of coaches. And I want to talk today about how we as parents can assist the coach, not necessarily be the coach. Even though my children were going through martial arts and learning at my academy, I tried as much as possible to have them under other instructors. Now, obviously, I taught classes and they took my classes, and but if they needed really correction, that sort of thing, I would try to have another instructor, another coach do that. So if you are coaching, for instance, your child's soccer team, that might be something to think about. Most of you have an assistant coach if you are a coach, and you can either guide your assistant coach in how you would like them to help your child, or just let them do their job. Make it an upfront thing. My daughter is on our soccer team. I'm excited to be able to coach her team. I enjoy this, but I don't necessarily want to be her coach. So if you could kind of fill in that gap for me, when you see her needing instruction or praise or guidance in her abilities or practice, if you could step in and do that and give that assistant coach permission, because they may not feel comfortable correcting even or disciplining your child. You're the coach, you're the leader, it's your child. They may feel a little funny about that. So up front, give them permission to coach your child, to instruct them. And that's going to help you and your child's relationship, and it's going to help the team, and it's going to help the parents who are watching know that, you're not either spending too much time with your child, or you're too hard on your child, or you're too lenient on your child. They're always going to have an opinion about you're too this or too that because it's your child. So if you can kind of take that out of the equation as the coach and have the assistant take that role over for your child, it will really smooth out a whole lot of things in that experience and make it more productive and also more fun for everyone involved. So just to kind of recap that on coaching your child, if you are the coach, give someone else permission to be the coach for your child. And that can really smooth your relationship and decrease any tension that you might have with your child as the leader of their sports team. So that's just some advice there on how you can navigate through that. Now, if you're not the child's coach, if you are strictly the parent and the person bringing them to their lessons, to their team practices, to their games, to their events, to their matches, all the different things like that, let's take a little bit of time to talk about what is the best role for you as a parent in that situation. So I spoke a little bit about this yesterday on Daytime Tri-Cities here in Johnson City, Tennessee. We usually have about anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes to develop a topic. So we really just get to hit the high points. So I was hoping today to be able to take this time to go a little deeper and answer questions that people have. So one of the biggest questions that people have is how involved should I be? Should I just completely be hands off and let the coach do everything? Should I helicopter and make sure I'm watching the coach and that they're doing the right thing with my child, 24/7, or is it somewhere in between? So here's what I know. I know as a coach, parent involvement is very important. Having the parents aware of what their child is doing, what they're going through, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, how they can be a support to their child in their athletics is extremely important, and it's valued, and it's something that I appreciate when parents show that attention to their children in their athletics. That doesn't mean that every lesson that they're there, on the sidelines, helping me coach them. It simply means that they are very supportive. They're attending the practices, attending the events, whether it's an exhibition or a game or, a match or a tournament, anything like that, that the parents are there to support their child. And I appreciate that. I know the children appreciate that. And so parents know that, yes, you should be very welcome and involved in your child's athletics. That's something that I think coaches appreciate. Where it becomes problematic is when as we as parents, I know I'm a parent too. I've watched my kids, and I'm looking forward to watching my grandchildren do different sporting events and things like that. So I know what it's like to watch your child out there when they're succeeding, when they're failing. I know all the emotions that go with that. So I get it. I'm also on the other side of that as the coach. So here's some advice from somebody who coaches a lot of kids and how parents you can be helpful during their lessons or during their games. So while they are in training, whether that's a class or practice, whatever, one-on-one or with a group, while they are in training, it is perfectly wonderful for you to be there to watch them. And I think that's important for the child, and I think it's important for you, so you know what the coach is teaching them. And when you go home, you can reinforce what the coach is teaching them. Just like when they're with their coach, hopefully their coach is reinforcing the values that you have as a parent, paying attention, listening, following directions, those sorts of things, being respectful to teammates and coaches, being respectful to siblings and parents. That should all go together. It shouldn't be they're one way in one set and another way in another set. We want to even that out so that they are good in both settings. And that's part of the job of the coach, and that's part of the job of the parent. So how do we work together? So while they're in training, be there, be supportive, but be a silent observer. That's hard. If your child starts doing something that they shouldn't be doing, or they're not paying attention, or the coach says use your right leg and they're using their left leg, it's very tempting to want to jump in there and correct them or to fix it, or, stop misbehaving, pay attention. No, it's the other leg, that sort of thing. Very tempting. That is definitely something you should not do. You should let that happen. You should let the coach or instructor work with that student and fix it. So you have the question, well, what if the instructor didn't see it? Or what if the coach didn't notice? That's okay. They're not going to miss everything. Your child's not going to get everything right. They're not going to be 100% focused every practice. And your instructor, your coach is not going to miss every time. They're going to miss some. And when they catch it, they will take care of it. They will say, Johnny, you need to focus and pay attention. Or, Anne, you need to, stop talking when I'm talking. Or, Alan, switch your feet. That's the wrong foot. You should be using this leg. Keep your head up, keep your chin up, keep your eyes up. They're going to be coaching them through that lesson. if you step in and start coaching, the child gets confused of who they're supposed to be listening to. So now you've got a situation where a child is not doing something correctly, and they have a parent or an uncle or somebody that's there that's, interrupting the lesson and getting on to them for something. It's not my experience that often, when the child's doing something right, typically the parents are silent. They're proud inside, smiling, or maybe they'll clap when they do something good, but they're not interrupting the practice. They're not stepping in and saying, wow, you did the right leg. That was great. That was awesome. Or, boy, you're really paying attention right now. I just wanted to say thank you. So they don't interrupt. Parents don't interrupt when their child's doing something right. So when their child's doing something wrong, there's just that sense of, I need to fix this. But what happens is the child gets confused about who they're supposed to be listening to. It does detract the other children in that lesson from focusing on the teacher. So they hear the teacher talking, the coach talking, and then they hear a parent chiming in, and they don't know who they're supposed to listen to. Or now they're staring at the kid that you're talking at, your child, and they're like, oh, your mom's yelling at you. So it's just it's a lose-lose for the child, for you, and then the coach has to try to bring all that back, and they are distracted from what they're doing by, the interruption. So as tempting as it is, coaching during the lesson, during the training time, is a big no-no. All right, it's not going to be the best scenario for your child. So how do you handle it? Because you feel like it needs to be addressed. There's a couple of things you can do. You can talk to your child after the session, on the drive home, or after you get home, or walking home. You can say, hey, you really weren't paying the best attention to your coach today, to your trainer today, to your instructor today. When they're speaking, you need to keep your eyes on them and listen to their instructions. This is important. Maybe it's a free team that they're on, or maybe you're paying for this instruction. Let them know that you're taking up, whether it's your money or your time, to give them this opportunity, and their responsibility is to pay attention. They have some responsibility in this learning and this training too, and part of that is to pay attention to the coach and the instructor. So it's okay to tell your child, if you see them not focusing and paying attention, which your child is not the only one doing that, I promise, to talk to them after the session and say, here's something I noticed, and if you start paying attention, I have a feeling you're going to start performing better and doing better in the sport that they're in. If it's an ongoing problem, not just every once in a while your child loses their ability to focus, as they all do. But if it's ongoing, like it's very obvious that they are consistently having trouble paying attention to the teacher. They're looking around, they're talking to their friend, they're messing with some equipment, or just generally, maybe looking back at you and waving, not focusing on the coach. This is something that maybe you can talk to the coach about, again, after the training session, not during, and say, I'm concerned that my child is not paying attention. Is there something that we can do to help him improve in that, or help her improve in that? And the coach will definitely be able to give you some guidance that way. So here, when parents come to me with that, and I have that, all the time, over the years, I've had it many times, then now I have a little bit of a radar up. This parent is paying attention to their child, which is great, all right, which is a good thing. So I appreciate that. And they want them to get the best out of this experience as they possibly can. And they want me to help them make that happen. So now we have a child that might be having a focusing issue in their training, and we have the parent involved, and we have the coach aware that the parent is concerned about this. So now we have two people who are working together to help with this focusing issue in the training time or even in game time. That is a good thing. We can work together to help this, and we can set out an action plan. So I can say, okay, this child is having trouble focusing. The parent's concerned. I want to make this better experience for everyone. So maybe I make sure that that child lines up in the front or in the front of the line or somewhere where I can keep good eye contact with them and help bring them back to focus every time I see them losing focus. Or maybe it's because they're partnered with a specific person very often and they get to giggling and having fun instead of paying attention. I can make sure that they're not partnered together. Or I can see, why is the child not paying attention? Is it that they're bored or they don't understand what's happening, so they just kind of check out, or they think it's too hard? All kinds of reasons why a child may be having trouble focusing, and we can figure that out together and then correct the issue. Your coach and your parent and then the child knows now that the parent and the coach are on the same page. They're working to help them focus better, and they're going to want to please both the parent and the coach. So as that teamwork becomes, more solid, your child is going to improve their focus. That is the right way to handle it. Talking to the child, talking to the coach, working together to help this child, pay attention better. Which, if they're paying attention better in sports and they're learning how to do that, they're going to be able to take that skill of eye contact, listening, following directions into the classroom, into other academics, into other activities that they're involved in, and they're going to be more successful and better at all of it. So if they're getting it in one place, they should be able to then transfer that to other places. And that's one of the beauties of athletics, is it teaches you things that you can carry on in life forever and ever, hopefully positive things. But if you're the parent that's interrupting that process by getting onto your kid or correcting your kid during the training, it has a different effect. It makes the child they don't want to go because you're just going to yell at them, and the coach is going to yell at them, and everybody's yelling at them, and they're not going to want to go to the training. They're not going to want to participate or try to listen because it's embarrassing to them to have a parent yelling at them in front of their other kids, their friends, or to yell at them in front of their coach, So it's not going to have the effect that you want. It may be what you want to happen right then, switch your feet, watch the coach, quit doing that. That immediate thing you might think it has, but in the long run, it's actually going to work way backwards from what you want, which is you want your child to do well, to pay attention, and learn how to focus. And they really can't do that if you're coaching them as well from, the bleachers or the seat or wherever you're at. So really try to take that temptation of correcting them in the middle of their lesson or practice and do that later if you feel it's necessary. And who knows, maybe the coach will have corrected it by the end of the practice, and then the coach did their job. The child learned how to pay attention to the coach, and you're out of it completely. You're not the good guy. You're not the bad guy. You're just neutral, and the lesson happened. And that's the right process to go. All right. So avoid that as much as possible. Take care of it after the training. If it's chronic problem, talk with the coach about it, and y'all can work out an action plan to help the student, help the participant, help your child. So the other issue is during an event, such as a game or competition or tournament, or, for martial arts, it's a very individual sport often. So they have to get out there and perform on their own. Performance that way. During that time, you really want to be the cheerleader. You want to be the positive voice that they hear. You want to be the support system for them. I have had hundreds of parents start martial arts lessons with me after their child had been taking for weeks, months, or even years. And I have heard so many times, wow, this is hard. I had no idea. There's a million things to think about. No wonder my child didn't always have their move exactly right, or they had the wrong foot forward. I'm having a hard time remembering when I'm using my right arm or my left arm, or what move comes next, or, oh yeah, when this happens in a self-defense situation, I'm supposed to respond this way. All this time I thought my child just wasn't getting it or wasn't paying attention, but actually this is really hard and they've been doing the best they can, and now I know I'm doing the best I can. So that's one where when you're the support system, you're going to help them. It's harder than you think. It's always eye-opening when you get out there and you try to do it and you don't necessarily succeed the first time, or I had to think a little bit harder about getting that done. Or for us, one of the difficult things we do is board breaking. So you're like, oh man, why can't my kid break that board? They should be able to go right through that. The other kids are doing it, and then you find yourself in the situation where all of a sudden you're asked to put your fist through a piece of wood, and there's something going off in your mind going, wait a minute, my brain doesn't want to make my body do that. How do I overcome that? So there's all kinds of things that are going on with the athlete in the moment that we can't necessarily understand unless we put ourselves in their shoes, and we may or may not have that opportunity, or we may or may not want that opportunity. We may not. Personally, if my child's playing soccer, that's great. I don't necessarily want to get out there and play soccer and feel what they're going through. I do want them to do well. So, unless you can actually be out there doing it with them, which can be a lot of fun, you don't really know what they're going through. So as they're going through the game, the event, the test, if you will, that's when you need to be the supporter. You want to support them in their event. There's a lot of sideline coaching, and it's not necessarily coaching as much as it is yelling or disapproval. Why'd you miss that? Keep your hands up. Aren't you paying attention? Watch what the other kids are doing. Do what they do. How did you get, struck out? How did you miss that? That wasn't even a fast pitch. Yelling that stuff at them while they're trying to perform, that is not going to help them. That is only going to make them feel more of a failure. They already failed. They didn't do a good job. They missed the ball. They missed the shot. They didn't break the board. They forgot their moves. They already failed. They already know that. And chances are, if they're doing this, they're doing it in front of people. So now they failed in front of people. They've let their team down. They let themselves down. They let the coach down. They don't need the added pressure of letting their parent down. And they don't need the added pressure of their parent getting upset with them in the moment. They've got to have somebody that they can count on to help them through that failure. It's something that also ripples through the rest of the group. Now the other people know that they're being kind of judged or graded by someone else. And you may not be thinking that way. You may be thinking that just your kid hears you, but everybody hears you and the other kids hear you. So this is something that correction, just like in management or, as the boss, correction needs to happen in private. Praise happens in public. Praise happens in public. Correction happens in private. So you can be upset with your child. Maybe they didn't do a good job or perform well because they weren't paying attention and they weren't doing what they were supposed to do and they didn't listen to the coach, and And you need to talk about that. So at home in private is when you talk about that. And take the role, if you really want to help your child in this athletic endeavor, take the role as their support system and be who they need at the moment. Don't be who you want to be. Don't be who that person you think they're supposed to need. Be who they actually need. Do they need somebody to vent to? I'm so upset with myself. I should have had that. I knew I could beat that, person. I knew I can run faster. How did I miss that hurdle? I've done it 1,000 times. How could that happen? How did I lose it? Maybe you need to be that person at that moment. Or maybe you need to be okay, hey, that didn't go very well. What was going on? And from there, you can know what to do. So maybe they need a stern talking to. Hey, look, you're part of the team. When you don't focus and pay attention, when you don't do your job, you affect all the other people on the team. So you actually owe your team an apology for not doing your best job today. Maybe you need to be that person for them. Maybe they need to hear that. Or maybe you need to be the person when they say, I always have trouble with that move, or I always have trouble with that shot. I can't seem to get it. And every time it happens, I just get nervous and tense and I always mess up. So now maybe you need to be the coach at home. Okay, let's practice. Well, let's go over that. Or maybe they need a private lesson, or maybe they need a little extra help, or maybe the coach doesn't know that they're having this mental angst when that situation comes up, and you can talk to the coach and say, hey, I was talking to my son about the game, and he said that this is how he feels whenever this happens. Can you help him through that? And again, teamwork, working together with the coach to help your child have the best outcome. But yelling at them from the sidelines, showing your disappointment in their performance, is not what they need. That's not what they need from you. They're getting that from themselves. They're getting it from their teammates. They're getting it from their coach. From you, you need to teach them as the parent how to get through this process successfully, whether it's fix your attitude, whether it's make sure you're paying attention, that happened because you did this, cause, consequence. Or maybe they do really need some extra one-on-one help to help them overcome this problem. Be that person for them as their coach. Be their support, the one that's going to teach them how to process through this. And then as they get older, as they get into middle school and high school and maybe even college athletics or beyond, they're going to know what the process is. They get out there and they fail. I need some extra help. Or, man, that was all on me. I completely messed up. I'm not going to let that happen again. Or it could be, we know kids try activities and they try and they end up not doing well because they don't enjoy the activity. And we have to either get through the season and we're not going to do that again, or we make some adjustments and changes. And we say, okay, well, let's change activities, find something else. And as adults, we might have the same thing. We started this journey on a particular whether it's a hobby or, you joined a team and you find out it's really just not fitting into my lifestyle. And that's why I'm having trouble focusing. I need to find something else. So it could be attitude. It could be the skill. It could be somebody on the team that's, bothering them. There's all kinds of things. But as they get older and you help them learn how to get through the process, they're going to be able to do that on their own. They're going to be able to recognize what they need when they're not succeeding. They need more practice. They need more one-on-one. They need a change of activity. They need to really own up and pay attention and get into the game. If you're yelling at them, during practice, if you're yelling at them during the game or the event, you're not teaching them how to solve the problem. You're teaching them that my parent is always yelling at me for doing something wrong. That's not really what we want to be teaching our kids. We want to be teaching them, one, that we support them, that we're there for them, and two, we're going to be there to teach them how to solve problems for themselves. That's what we want to be able to teach them. So if you've been, that kind of sideline negative coach or too involved during the lesson, all you got to do is just stop doing it. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to go back. You don't have to, do anything other than just stop doing it and start taking a new approach to helping your child in their athletics, whatever that is. That's really as simple as it is. You don't have to apologize. You don't have to do anything. Just start being the positive voice, the support system for your kids. Look, I know it is hard to watch them fail. I know it's hard to watch them fail in front of you. It's hard to watch them fail while they're out there in front of other people. It's hard for them too. So together get through it. To support them and together get through it. So if there's any other questions or comments that you have during this session, feel free to put them in the chat. We can do that. Or ask your question online and I can go over something else. And even if you disagree, I'm happy to have a discussion about that, because I learn from talking to other people and seeing what other people's points of view are. So never feel like you can't disagree. We can talk about the subject. So one of the things too is let's talk about briefly here, if you know the sport that your child's doing. Like there might be a sport they're doing that you really don't know anything about it. Like martial arts, for instance. They wanted to get involved in martial arts. You heard it was great for concentration. It was good for focus. It was good for building confidence, great for self-defense. And you thought, well, that'll be a great activity, but you've never had any experience in it yourself. That's, definitely let the coach do their thing. If you do know, however, maybe you trained as a martial artist and you know quite a bit, or you played soccer in college and now your child is playing soccer, so you have a lot of technical knowledge that you can share with them. So how do we approach that? Well, kids love play and they learn a lot through play. If everything that you say to them while you're teaching them, and helping support them in their learning because you have the knowledge to share, make a game of it. All right, let's see who can hit the most balls out of 10, or, even starting young with T-ball. Okay, all right, we're going to keep track of how many you can hit to this space in a row. And as they're trying to accomplish that goal, and maybe struggling a little bit, you can say, okay, all right, I'm going to help you do that. Here's what, you got to make your stance a little bit more like that. Let's try that. Or keep your elbow up, or keep your eye here, or, all sorts of tips that you can give them as they're playing this game, as opposed to, all right, hit this ball. Nope, you didn't do this right. Didn't do that right. Didn't do this right. You got to do this, this, and this. Well, that's no fun. And quite honestly, why do we do athletic events anyway? Because they're fun, they're challenging. We like the endorphins we get from exercise. We like the adrenaline of competing. It's fun. We like being with our friends or working as a team. So that's what you want to instill in them. So as you have this skill set that you have that you want to impart to your child, teach them this, just like if they weren't your child, but they were a student or a player on your team, and coach that way by making it fun, especially at the young age. Now, as they get older and they've learned to trust you as either support person in their athletics or even as somebody who has knowledge to share in that, as they get older, they're going to come to you with questions. Like, hey, Dad, can you watch this film of me playing? What did I do wrong here? Or yeah, I'm not quite, I don't really have the edge that I need, or I'm not sure what happened in this moment. Can you watch me in the next game and see what I'm doing wrong? They're going to start coming to you with those questions. And because they trust you, because you built that trust as they were younger, by not yelling at them or getting onto them or over teaching. Over teaching is a problem we as parents really do have to watch. Over correcting. Correction is good in balance with praise. So if it's only the correction part, what happens is we quit listening. We do it as adults. Kids are going to do it. He never listens to me. Well, how are you talking to him? Think about that. What is the most that's coming out of your mouth to your child in this scenario? Is it, you did this, and this, great. What do you think about, could we work on this a little bit more? Do you need some extra help? Not when practice is over, well, you really missed that shot. You weren't doing this like you did in practice. Is that the first thing that you're saying to them? And then the rest of whatever you say after that, they don't hear, even if it's good stuff, because they're stuck on the bad that they just heard. This is human nature. It's also human nature to want to fix things and correct things. So we have to battle that a little bit with a little knowledge, knowing that, okay, the first thing that comes out of my mouth needs to be something positive. Then we can get into, now they're listening because I said something good about what they did today. Now I've got their attention. Now we can talk about the things they need to work on. It just works better. It's just easier. It's just smoother that way than to do what maybe our first inclination is to, how could you have missed that? And I'm not saying anything to you that I haven't felt myself, for my own kids. But the main thing takeaway today in the coaching is, during the practice and the training, stay silent. Handle whatever problem or situation or concern you have afterwards, whether it's with your child or with your child and the coach or just the coach. That is going to be a much better way to handle it and help your child be successful. During the games, try to make sure that the things that you say and yell and cheer and scream are the positive sides, or be silent during the negative, and just fight the temptation to yell out anything negative to your child while they're in the moment. There is enough pressure on them in the moment. Handle that afterwards in a supportive way. As your child gets older, as they're, maybe even in high school, senior, or even in college athletics, they know when they messed up, and you can go to them and say, hey, that was pretty rough performance. Is there anything I can do to help you through that? And maybe you can, maybe you've had that coaching position with them, kind of like I have, with my kids. If something didn't go right in their martial arts performance, they know it because you know what you're talking about. They know it, so you can say, you lost that match. Is there anything I can help you with, or do you want to talk it through, or anything like that? And you can be a support that way. Or if you have no idea what, don't get upset with them because they messed up and you don't know how to fix it. Be a support and say, do you need some extra training? Is there another coach that we need to talk to? Do you need some, some mental coach? There are mental coaches out there, and any athlete knows a lot of being successful in athletics is mental. So, maybe they need somebody to talk to like that, whether it's a mentor on the team or somebody that's a level above them to help talk them through it. Doesn't necessarily always have to be a counselor or a therapist. It can be just somebody who's been through it that can talk to them. So hopefully that was helpful on how to be a good coach for your child, how to make sure that you give them a positive experience. The more positive it is, the more successful that they're going to be. And the last thing I'd like to say is, when you do praise your child or teen or young adult, it needs to be realistic praise. They're going to see right through mushy, over the top. You were the best one out there. That was the greatest thing you've ever done. It needs to be realistic. Wow, you played your best game today. I was really proud of the way you hustled. It doesn't have to be, oh, you were so fast. I was, they're going to see through that, especially if it happens over and over and over again. And as they mature and learn and see what's really good and what's mediocre and what's not good, they're going to realize your praise was empty. It didn't have meaning. So make sure your praise is realistic. Oh, you tried that shot. I was really proud of you for taking that chance. Sorry that you missed it. We'll keep working on it, get it better next time. Not, that's okay that you missed. You did your best. That's not really what they want to hear. They want to hear the truth in a kind way, in a structured way, and in a supportive way. So realistic praise, not just, that goes with every kid gets a trophy. Well, they can all get something for participating, but there needs to be a first place, a second place, third place. There needs to be who was the best. There needs to be that. And that way, when your child actually does do something amazing and they get that, whoa, that was really awesome what you just accomplished, it's the truth and it means something. It's not just another over-the-top accolade that we say to our kids, boosting them without any truth to it, any support to it. So be honest, praise your kids, be silent when you want to say something negative, and you and your child and your coach will all be able to work together for a successful outcome for your kids. So thanks everybody for tuning in. And again, Ask Master Mom. I am here locally, Amanda Olson at Olson's Martial Arts Academy in Johnson City, Tennessee. I hope you will subscribe to the channel. I post the TV shows. I have a vlog that I do, just kind of my own musings and thoughts as they hit me. And sometimes people enjoy listening to that. So if you think you might, just subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. You will get that notification that I've put something out there. And if it interests you, if it rings true to you, or if you know of a family that's going through a similar situation of what I'm talking about, you're welcome to share that. I appreciate it. So have a great day. And if you're local, I'll see you in class. I'll see you around. I'll see you on the TV show. Or if you're from out of town, stay in touch with me on social media. And I hope you have an awesome day. All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.